Hi, web designers. I am excited to jump into chapter 7 with you. It is challenging. We are doing page layouts and we're doing some extra fun stuff, changing our links, adding some pseudo elements or pseudo classes using cascading style sheets. There is a lot of stuff, and chapter 7 is huge and it's wonderful. But you're also going to learn a ton if you look up CSS layouts on the web, particularly MDN documents. It has such cool stuff. There are so many different layouts, but let's get into chapter 7. And oh, look at this. I need to change everything. But first I have to duplicate my file. So let's go do that. Okay, I am going to open up my new chapter 7 and get going. I'm going to remove this real quick. Let's tidy up my space. Okay, so I am on chapter 7 now. Let's get rid of this because that's the old one. One of the things we could do to mess up is start editing our old files, but then previewing something else. It's horrible. Okay, so now I'm actually on chapter 7. Task 1. We have the chapter 7. Got it. We're going to copy the Coast 2 JPG image from the chapter 7 starters folder. All right, y'all. So back in the very beginning, we had this student files up in module 1. Hopefully you downloaded it somewhere, and I'm going to go ahead and try to find mine. Let's see. Of course, right? Student files. There it is. I'm on chapter 7. Starters. Wait. Okay. If I just choose chapter 7, select folder, starters. Oh my goodness. Look at how many starters there are. That's so cool. Let's see. Do we have, oh, here it is. Coast 2. Okay. So I need to take, let's move this. I'm actually going to move it up to here. Okay. Let's see. Do it up here now? All right. Good. I have Coast 2 up here. So take the step to do that. All right, let's see. Let me open back up my index. And I'll throw this on the right. That's the way I like it. And if you have messed up your screen like I have, split left. There we go. Close this over here. Tell you what, guys, it's a little late today. So let's. Okay, we're in Pacific.css. What are we gonna do? The first thing that we're going to do is add a universal style. So far we have global styles, and those are all of our elements. Well, universal style is going to make it so that every element is going to have this same property. And this is the box sizing. Now, border box is what we want. So one of the things, the chapter 7 PowerPoint is fantastic. I would take a look at it. It's going to help you. All right, let's get to the wrapper ID selector. Okay, we're going to do some stuff. We're basically like messing up the whole thing. So instead of the background color being white, we're going to do blue. 90C7E3. There it is. Great. I'm going to configure a solid black line. I'm going to do a border. Okay, and the border has 3 properties, whereas the box shadow has 4. It has the 1 pixel, okay, so the size. It has the solid, and what is it going to be? Oops, solid. And then it finally has the color, so hashtag 00003. And do I have enough? 3. Oh, it knows, right? Okay, and then there we go. So I'm going to save this. Okay, and let's see what's next. Didn't do much. Close this real quick. There we go. Okay, I didn't see it before. All right, let's make sure I had the right one. Okay, here we go. So it's messed up my background. It's giving me this nice little solid, and I'm gonna keep going. Copy the background image style for the linear gradient from the body selector to the wrapper. Okay, so I'm taking this linear gradient, I'm copying it. I use home. If I don't have everything wrapped, I use home and end on my keyboard to get back and forth. So like if I'm up in this really long one, I go to end, home. Using the keyboard as your friend. If you don't know how to do it yet, you should. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here, home, and I'm going to save it and see what happens. All right, cool. So now it's got the gradient. Okay. One of the things that I really want to emphasize with what we're doing here is we're going to start really seeing how all of these elements wind up layering, and they layer in a weird way. So if you've ever done Photoshop, you layer from bottom to top. So like the bottom layer is on the bottom and the top layer is on the top. But in CSS, it's the opposite. So it's like the top layer is on the bottom and the bottom layer is on the top. It's kind of confusing. So what I'm trying to say is if we took into consideration these elements. Right now, the body is all of this, the body of our text, okay? And then the wrapper is actually the outline of our body, okay? So it's this divider that is wrapping around to make something happen. So let's see what happens next. So eventually this is going to display behind the body element selector. We're changing it to background color EA. So this is going to give it a nice, just solid color. We got to get rid of the background image. Okay, we got to get rid of this guy to make it so it's just one solid gray color. And then eventually we're going to have to change this because we do not want to have blue background for our reading area. Keep the reading area white or a nice close to white. The header element, we are removing the style declarations. Let's see, header 4. So no background, no background image, no repeat. And no position. We're doing all of it. Oh, no more pretty sunset up there. That's okay. We're changing the height to 120 pixels. And we're doing a top padding of 30. And we're making a left padding. Okay, so we don't have left padding yet. Padding left is now 3 EM. So it's moved over to the right a lot. Okay, so we can see that it's a little bigger. It's changed. Padding left. It already was in the center because of text align center, and so it just moved it over even a little bit more, and that's because we're working on that 2-column layout. Okay, the H1, we are configuring 3EM font size. So here's font, so I'm going to add a font size. 3EM is like 3 times the normal browser's font size. It's going to be big. And letter spacing. I love that we can just put in, start typing letter spacing is 0.25 EM. So it's like 1/4 between the letters. Oh, look at that. It's big fat. All right. And so also the padding top, we made it so that it's forcing the vertical alignment of middle. H1, navigator, okay. Then navigation is, let's say it's floating on the page. So we're removing the background color declaration. Okay, watch what happens when I save that. Oh, okay. You can barely tell the difference, but it actually picked up the gradient because the navigation was sitting on top of the wrapper and the body. Okay, and it was sitting on top of the wrapper, and because it was sitting on top of the wrapper, it was covering the wrapper with its own background color. Okay, so now that I've gotten rid of the background color for the navigation, it's picking up the wrapper divider color. Okay, so we're going to do more. float. We're going to float it. We're going to float it left. Boom. I start typing in float tab, left tab. And we're removing the text align. So we're no longer centering it. Oops. No longer centering it. Okay. And we are changing the padding to 1.5. So just adding a 0.5 EM. And we're setting a font size. Okay. Font size of 120%, which is actually the same as 1.2 EM, which is interesting. Kind of. Okay. EM is based on the actual browser's determination. Font size 120%. If we had a global style or like a universal style that was changing it, so like let's say everything was 14 point, which is more than the browser style, then the font size would change based on that. So interesting thing to think about, and you'll learn more about that. I'm just going to put this up here because this is more the, here's the text properties. All right, so in my navigation. Now, what's interesting is that these text properties are dealing with the overall text, but it's the navigation, it's this styling of the link that's going to change a lot of it, because a typical color for a link is this blue color. This is a standard blue link. Later, our CSS, our pseudo classes, we're actually going to change those colors of those links. Well, let's keep going. Okay, configure left float. I did that. And width of 160 pixels. Okay, so adding width 160 pixels. Okay, so watch what happens. Oh, okay. So now it's gotten rid of the navigation basically. Okay, so now it's floating over there, and it's floating over there under the header, because if we look at our actual HTML, go in here, we've got the header and then we have the navigation, and they're separate. Okay, so but when the navigation was not floated, it had a white background, and when it was not floated, it was like in between the header, sorry, here's the home, it was in between the header and the image. So now it's floating over there on the left. Okay, so let's keep going. Now we're going to do the home hero ID. So we're changing, let's go back to Pacific. We're changing the IDs. I have them down here, home hero ID. And we're actually going to start shifting stuff over 190 pixels, because we're trying to do what the wireframe is showing us, which is kind of like shift everything to the right so that the navigation can float over there by itself. One of the things with the reason why you would have a navigation on the left is if your navigation is something that you really want people to notice. You see this a lot in table of contents when you want people to read a lot of different information. They can jump around. And I'll actually show you that on a great page. Okay, so configure a 190 pixel left margin from the home hero. 190 pixels. Okay, and watch what this does, because we're on home here. Save that. Okay, so now it's shifted it over. So basically we're shifting everything over here. Oops. We're shifting everything over here. I'm going to take this and I'm actually going to copy it, and I'm going to put it in all of these. Your hero, put a bit trail hero. I'm even going to put it in my main element, because that is what's stopping it from really kind of having that perfect 2-column layout. So I'm going to put it up here. And let's see. Aha, it shifts it over. And I'm even going to put it in footer, I believe. Let's see. Footer. Footer, configure, yes. Okay, so I'm putting it in footer. So I'm kind of jumping around. I knew that the book was going to do this because it's telling me that it wants to shift everything to the right. So I know all things need to be shifted. Okay, there we go. Okay, so what's happening here now is that it's changing the way, let me make this bigger. Okay, so now it's changing the layout so that the centered elements are all over here. This is kind of like, oh, look, Pacific Trails Resort. It has yurts. It has activities. That's great. Okay, and then let's keep going. Okay, so let me get back to my CSS. I did footer, so I had to go back and make sure that I did everything else. I didn't. Okay, so let's go back to the main selector because there was more that I needed to do. And in the main selector, besides the margin, I also needed to do set a white background. I want to do that actually after this stuff. This is like actually I'll say that here. This is layout properties, okay, and down here is like style properties, okay. Okay, so now in the style properties, I'm gonna see, I want the background color to be white. So this is where I give it back its readable, accessible color, okay. This is the way that the brain is easiest to read unless you're doing like dark mode. Dark mode is good. Not as much for reading, but it's really good for coding for some reason. I don't know. I haven't studied that. All right, background color. Navigation. Main element. Okay, left padding to 30. Okay, so remember, left padding. So the padding, close this guy. Padding starts at top, okay, because it's 4, right? So it's like the compass directions, okay? So north, south, east, west. Okay, so this is top, right, bottom, left. Top, right, bottom, left. So clockwise, starting at the top, right, bottom, left. Okay, and I could put a comment in here for myself because I literally used to forget this every single time, and it wasn't until I started teaching HTML that I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand. It's so funny. You know, it's like that thing where you tell anybody a problem or you start teaching somebody something, then you wind up learning it even more. Because before I was a teacher, I was just a doer of HTML, and I just did it, and I was self-taught, and I learned just based on the internet and watching tutorials and things like that. So I never had to teach anybody, but now that I'm teaching, I'm learning even more and really understanding the intricacies, which make it easier for me to actually explain it to you guys too. So that's pretty fun. All right, the main element selector, left padding to allow for the main element to come. Okay, so it says it wants to have floated elements, so we're also setting overflow to auto, and that is a part of our layout. So overflow auto. Oops. Auto. Okay, there it is. Overflow auto. Okay, so it kind of like pushed stuff over a little bit, which is good. That's fine. Okay, moving on. Section. Okay, so we don't have a section yet, but we are going to have a section. And our section is going to be around the main. It's actually going to be kind of like doing a 3-column layout for the questions about the yurts. And that's just another CSS or HTML5 layout element that we can use that has special properties. So let's do a style rule too. Set a left float. Float, left, okay. And then width, 33%. 33%, remember, is like 1/3 of 100. So that makes sense because it's going to encompass our main. And so since it's encompassing our main and there's going to be 3 of them, it makes sense to be 33%. All right, and then let's see, what's next? Section 2EM left padding. Padding left is 2EM. And right padding is 2EM. So why don't we just do all the padding, like, you know, if this is left and right, why don't I do 0, 2EM, 0, 2EM? Because I want it to be able to pick up any other styles from previous elements. So that's why we don't put a 0 in unless we really want a 0 in. All right, next section. Okay, configure the unordered list in the main content area. So we have an unordered list over here. And it needs to have, so it looks like I accidentally skipped the unordered list in chapter 6. Oh no. Okay, so I had an unordered list in main. Let's actually put that in here. My unordered list was, let's see, I had to have a list style type, and it was URL, and it was let's look at it was a GIF. Let's see, it's in my folder so I can look at it. Marker. Okay, so if I look at that right now, let's see, it's not type, it is image. There we go. Okay, so somehow I didn't have that, but now it's telling me, hey, don't have it there. Take this. So I'm actually going to take it and I'm going to add it under the, oh wait, it is under the main. Oh my gosh. I'm going to put that back. But what I'm doing is I'm making it a descendant selector of main. So I have to add main first, and now I save it. Nothing changes. However, one of the things that's coming up is we're changing this into an unordered list, the navigation, which is the standard way to do the navigation. So now we have to go back, and now we have to change. We're changing a bunch in the navigation area. So now let's go back up here, and we're doing use a descendant selector to configure unordered list and anchor elements with the nav element. So let's just start doing it. Nav UL. We want it so that it has no markers. Okay. So list style type. This is where I use type none. And then I have to have 0 margin. Margin 0. And then I have to have padding left 0. So I'm making it, I'm just like kind of squishing it in there in its own little place, the unordered list part, so that it doesn't have it doesn't have any like tabs or anything that comes standard with that particular element in the browser. And I'm making the font size bigger. And it's 1.28, just a little. Save that. Nothing happens. Why? Why doesn't anything happen? I've changed the navigation. Because I don't have my navigation in an unordered list. Okay, but let's go ahead and let's keep going. Actually, you know what? I don't like that we don't have it configured as a list. So let's go into index and let's actually configure this as a list. All right, where is my, oh, here we go. Okay. Alrighty. Here it is. Okay, I closed things and so I lost them. All right, so what it's asking us to do here, and this is over back in task 3, but let's go ahead and do it now. So it wants me to have an unordered list, and it wants my entire navigation to be an unordered list. But the unordered list needs to go, oops, the unordered list needs to go inside the navigation. Okay, so it's not outside the navigation, it's inside the navigation. And when I say inside, we have to think about it as on top of. Because if we start thinking about it as layers, then the UL, the unordered list, is actually on top of the navigation. And that's a good way of starting to look at things and think about it. So now that I have it as an unordered list, I have to give it the list element tags, closing list. Okay, I'm going to copy this guy, copy it. I'm going to replace this with an ending list tag, replace this with an ending list tag, and ending list tag. Press home to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to copy this list opening tag. Put it here, put it here, put it here. Do I care that there's a bunch of spaces? No, because I have Atom Beautify. I'm going to beautify it. There we go. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, little weird pet peeves, I know. I'm going to save that sucker up. And look, nothing really changed. It's bigger though. But now we're going to change the color. This is the standard blue. It's hard to kind of tell that it's the standard blue because it kind of matches the rest of it. You know, we got this beachy thing going on. But we're actually going to change now to pseudo classes. So what we're doing is the navigation, the hyperlinks, we are making the link a certain color. And so the color is going to be medium blue text. It's going to be color, and it's going to be hashtag 5C7FA3. Perfect. All right, so let's save this and see what happens. Okay, so now the unvisited hyperlinks are now this like nice gray color. Now what happens? Because we can't, like, nothing happens when I hover over it except for my cursor turns into a little pointer. Let's do something else. Let's do navigation a pseudo class visited. So what happens if I visit the link? What's it going to happen? Okay, well, after I visit it, it's going to turn into a hashtag 344873. Okay, now, oops, I gotta put a color on. Sorry. Okay, there we go. And then Control S. Okay, so we don't have anything yet, but if I start to mess around with this, it doesn't really do anything yet, because I have to do it in the browser, and I have to go in and update my other files so that they have the links the right way. Nav a hover is now, let's see, we gotta put this together. You can't have a space. Color, and we're gonna make it red. This is kind of cool, dark red. So hashtag, and this looks cool. Everybody will be able to see that in the text editor. End it with my semicolon, save that. So now when I'm hovering over it, it has like a really distinct visual. Awesome. And then inactive hyperlinks, hover, okay, interactive, sorry. And then finally in the header area. Okay, so now in the header, okay, right now we don't want to have anything in the header, but where is the header? It's all the way up here. Okay, so header containing links, and we're doing no underline, white. Okay, so it's all links. Text decoration, none. And then color, white. Okay, and then we're doing header A. So now we do color white, and then now we do header A link. I think this is white. Oh, okay. Here, color white. And then I'm gonna copy this. We're gonna do a visited. This also is color white. Okay, good. And then finally the third one is gonna change, but I'm still gonna paste it first. And this is hover. And it's going to have a 9 hashtag 90C7. Okay, save that. Great. Okay. We should test it. I'm not going to in this video yet. Okay, so now I have to go in and I have to now I have to go change this. Okay, so take this. I'm going to copy this entire thing here, from nav to nav, and I'm going to go put it on activities. Nav to nav. Paste it. Save that. And then I'm going to go, notice I saved it, right? Because you do not want to lose your work. Paste it, save it. All right. And then it wants me to go to the yurts page. Okay, perfect. Oh, configure the Pacific Trails Resort text in the header area to be a hyperlink to the homepage. Oh, okay, I see. So the text in the header area Okay, so now we want this. So we're going to make it so that this is still an H1 tag, but now we're going to give it an href, okay? And we're going to send it to the index.html. All right. And close it up. Okay. So actually now I want it to be, okay, I want to take this whole header now, actually, all the way down to the navigation, and I'm going to change it. Put that in, I'm going to put it in index. All right, there we go. Save that. Oh, activities is not saved. I see the blue. Save that. All right. So, oh, look at that. So now when I hover over it, it's like, oh, it's a link. You want to go there? All right, it's the same one. Do I want to go there? Sure, it takes me back. Great. Okay. So that's cool. And then next, edit the Yurts page. We're modifying to the home page. But let's see. Now we are removing the tags that configure the description list from the page. Notice the text content as a series of questions and answers. Configure each question with an H3, and then configure each answer within a paragraph, and then code a section element to contain each question and answer pair. Okay, so going to the Yurts page, and I'm going down to this DD. So it's basically told me, no, I don't want this anymore. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to take this, and I'm going to turn this into an H3 element. Okay. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to turn this into an H3 element. But you know what? You know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to contain this. I'm going to put all the sucker in a, I'm going to put it in a, get rid of those D's, put a PP, and then I'm going to contain this. And, okay, so now I have this new kind of thing here. So my DTs. So this is actually going to be changed to an H3. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to hit Control F, and I'm going to find it. And notice that it says, oh, I found 2. So now what I'm going to do and replace here, I'm going to replace it with H3. Okay, and replace all. Boom, I replaced it. And now I'm going to find this other, okay, so let's see, over on the back end, it was this. Okay, so I'm going to take this, Control C, I'm going to put it in here, Control V, and it's to found. And really all I want to do is in the tag, I'm going to do that. Oh, I don't know why I just saved it, replace all. Boom, saved. Yay. And now I'm going to take the DDs, and guess what I'm going to do with these DDs? There are no DDs in this document other than right there. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to search for these DDs. Oh, it doesn't like it. It wants me to do this. Okay, so I'm going to search for this. Okay, I'm going to search for that. 2 results. And I'm going to say, okay, change this into a paragraph. Okay, go ahead, replace all. Perfect. Okay, and what about this guy? Look for this guy. You know what I want that to change to? I want to change it to this. So, anytime you can find shortcuts to your code, do it. Get it done, okay? Oh, here's this DL. Okay, so this DL is gone. It's actually going to be the ending section tab, because now I'm going to have this section element, opening it up here, have it after each ending paragraph, and then have this in between the end of the paragraph and the new section. And this can just get replaced. Okay, so there's nothing changed yet because I'm not even on the right page. So let's see. Control Shift H. Oh, look at that. It's changed. Boom. Beautiful. Okay, so how did this happen? How did this happen? We have these sections. Why are they lined up so beautifully like that? Well, it has to do with our CSS. If we go back to the Pacific CSS, go find where we have that section. Let's see. Here it is. Ah, it's saying float left. It's saying padding. Okay, so we're floating left. Let me close this. So we're floating left, which means that all 3 of these are going to get lined up because the width is 33%. So it's 33% of the main because this section is in the main. And so what I've done is kind of like made it so that they're all floating on the left, but that means they're going to line up together because it's 33%. Okay. And let's see. Yeah, padding left, 2EM, padding right, 2EM. So it's just making it that perfect 3-column look. Okay, that's great. And you got this down here. Uh-oh, the footers. The footer is supposed to have a background color of white. I don't know why that didn't happen. Oops. Control save. All right. There we go. Okay. Okay. So the activities page, it's wanting to do the same thing. So the activities page is going to also have this same wireframe. So what you're going to want to do is go in and do the exact same thing again. So the H3, the paragraph is fine. All I'm doing here is I'm going to just add some sections. Section here. After every end paragraph, I'm going to close my section. And then I'm going to open my section again. And then after this paragraph, I'm going to close my section. And then I'm going to open my section. And then I'm going to go down and close my section. I would love to spend more time with you guys exploring the way this works, because I want to show you what would happen if it was like, oh, I chose, instead of 33%, I chose like 50%, right? Well, what happens there? Okay, so if I go and let me go find my section. Okay, so what happens if I put 50%? Ah, that's what happens. Okay, so it's floating. So now it's saying, okay, the first one, let's go back to that activities page. So the first one of the activities is hiking. So that one gets the initial. Okay, so it's like, okay, 50% right here. Okay, so that one gets the correct one. And then the next section is kayaking. Oh, okay. That has 50%. Okay. But then it's like the next one, well, there's not enough space for 50%. And instead of it going here, it goes like over here. And that's because it's going where it's filling in. So it's very interesting. I would have to clear the float if I wanted this to go on this side, but that's obviously not what I want to do. I want to make sure that it's having this nice 3-column layout. But we're going to have to make this responsive. So we're going to do that in Chapter 8, 2 weeks of Chapter 8. Coming up. It's going to be great. Great job, you guys. I know this is a lot to take in, and I'm proud of you.